Welcome to this mini hip release flow. So this is extremely hip opening. So if you haven't done any movement today, I recommend doing a warm up. I'm not including a full one in this practice just to keep it sweet and short. In terms of props, if you want to bring a blanket or pillows or yoga bolsters or even blocks, you want to grab those now. That will be great if you need them on hand. So to begin our practice, we're going to start in a wide leg child's pose, meaning our big toes are going to come to touch and our knees are going to come as wide as our mat. We're going to lower all the way down as best as we can. We can keep our forearms sort of close so our elbows draw in a little bit closer and then drop the head down. So just allowing the low back to release slightly. And start to breathe in and connect deeper into that space, the hip, the womb, the low back. And taking one or two more mindful, long, deep breaths here. Gently exhale, start to lift. Draw yourself to tabletop position. We're going to do just some hip circles. So draw over to the left, down and around. And as you do this, incorporate some shoulder mobility here, meaning allow the shoulders to follow where the hips go. Taking nice, long and slow, following your breath. And then we're going to go to the other side. So just counterclockwise or clockwise, depending on which way you started. So the hips, the sacral area is so important for our energy flow, our creativeness, our pleasure house, our self-confidence. So just shaking out or removing any of that excess pent-up energy is so key. Gently come back to center. From here, we're going to tuck our toes and then gently draw our palms behind and just allow our head and chest and shoulders to open slightly. Keep the toes nice and stretched here. So don't lay flat. And then press the chest up and down. One more. And down. Last one. And down. So coming back here now to front. We're going to place our hands down, tuck the toes, send the hips to downward dog. Just press back here. Get nice and long and stretched out here. And then exhale, walk the hands closely to the front and allow the hips to drop down. Find a plank and then draw the hips down first. Keep the chest up. Untuck the toes. Open up those hip flexors, feeling the womb space. Everything start to stretch. Exhale, find that downward dog. Send the hips back. Press and stretch. Breathe deeply. Exhale, roll forward again. Draw the knees down first. Allow the chest to expand open. As you open up the shoulders, roll your head back. Plant the feet. Last one, come back down. And roll forward. And down. Breathing deep here. Exhale, we're coming back. This time, just roll back. Find a hip spine roll, spinal wave, Roll forward. Drop the shoulders back, chest open. Press away. Round the spine and down. In and out. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Find what feels good to go in and out. And then when you feel stable enough, you can add those gentle waves. So make sure to keep opening the chest and roll forward and reverse. So as you spinal wave, the shoulder blades come apart And then they draw together. Now that our spine is nice and open, we're going to come back to our downward dog. So send the hips high here. This time, lift the right leg, open, lengthen, nice and long, bend that right knee. Find your three-legged dog. Exhale, draw that right foot between your hands. Drop that left knee, finding a low lunge. Get really low here. So shift that left leg back as far as it feels good. We're going to keep the hands down, so some of us may want to use pillows or blocks, but allow that left hip flexor to stretch out. Breathe deeply. Exhale, we're going to send the hips back, walk the hands with it, but foot and knee stay where they are. The front foot gently flex. We're just finding that counter for the hip flex. Exhale, roll forward. Inhale deeply, lengthen through that spine. Exhale, come back. This time, roll forward. We're going to place that right palm inside of our right foot. Walk that right foot out. That right set of toes is going to point to the corner of our mat. We're going to come into lizard. So either on your hands or drawing down a little bit deeper onto your forearms. You can also use blocks or pillow here. And then start to gently wiggle that foot as far as it feels good. By good, I mean nice deep stretch without putting strain on that knee. So if there's pain in the knee, either knee or even the hip, we've gone too far, and this is where we'll adjust with our height, okay? Once you find your variation, we're gonna take a few mindful breaths, try to find stillness. This in particular can bring up emotions like anger, resentment, or rage. So breathe into whatever flows through. So keep the breaths long. One more breath here. Gently exhale to start to lift first, then wiggle that leg back in. From here, draw that foot back, but instead of going for a child's pose, we're gonna draw that right leg out to the side of your mat and sit back onto your left hip. Gently flex that foot out. Keep the chest elevated and the hands pressing down. Again, you can use blocks here or you can use a pillow. So my left knee is still bent. I'm sitting onto my left foot, but the right leg is extended out and flex. And exhale to come up. Draw back to your tabletop position. I'm just going to switch. And then we're going to tuck our toes, find our way back to downward dog here. From here, left leg is going to point out. Bend that left knee. Create that three-leg opener for yourself. And then exhale, draw that left foot towards center. Drop that right knee back. We're finding low lunge on this side, adjusting to what variation you need with pillows, blocks. And then scoot that right knee slightly back so you get this nice opener into the right hip flexor. We're taking a couple breaths here. And then when ready, we're sending that left hip back this time. Walk the hands, left foot flexes, that right knee stays where it is. Exhale, roll forward, find that low lunge again, taking a nice deep stretch and breath. Exhale, come back, find that half split. And this time, as we come around, that left palm is going to come to the inside. That left foot's going to pivot toe out, and then the toes are going to the edge of corner of the mat. So they're following the corner of the mat. And then we're finding our lizard lunge here, whether you stay up, you come to forearms, you use a block or pillow or bolster, and then you melt in and try to find that stillness to breathe in, adjusting accordingly and making sure there is no pain or strain on those joints. Again, notice if this side versus the other brings up an emotion or a feeling or even a thought or a memory. The body holds on to so much, especially in this space. Take one more cycle of breath here. And your next inhale, start to rise. Gently walk that foot close to the body. And then draw that left foot back and then bringing that left leg, extending it to the side. So I've done nothing different with my right. I'm just coming to sit back onto my right foot and my left foot is flexed and I'm allowing myself to melt. Chest stays open still and I'm lifted. And by lifted, I mean your head can draw down. You don't have to pull up, but you're not melting all the way down. Gently exhale, come back to center. We're going to get into pigeon on each side. So we're going to come from tabletop, but if you prefer to come from a downward, you can, of course. We're going to take our right leg, extend it back, point, and then draw that right knee towards our right wrist. Drop it down, the full shin, and then scoot that right foot closer to your left wrist. Scoot that left knee back. We're finding this position here. So foot can be at knee can be at a 90. It can be foot can be closer to you, but don't extend it so much that you're putting a lot of pressure onto that kneecap, right? You can use a pillow to elevate the hips or a bolster when you come down as well to lay on. So from here, inhale, lengthen through the crown, meaning the spine has space as you breathe, and then exhale to lower down. So just allowing yourself to melt. Again, this could bring up some feelings of some sort. Just breathe into it if you can. Try to find that stillness. And if you are experiencing any joint pain or throbbing or numbness, you've gone a little too far. So just use props to elevate yourself in the pose. Taking a few more breaths here. Allow yourself to melt just a bit deeper. Try to let go of tension that you're holding on to, or even just a thought that may not serve you. And gently exhale, start to lift slowly out of the practice. Draw your weight onto the right side. Draw your left leg forward. Come to the side of your mat. Lift both feet onto the mat. We're just going to do some windshields here so you can let go of the excessive tension and just have that counter stretch. We're going to come back into tabletop to switch sides. Let me just check here. Yeah, switch sides. So coming into tabletop, left leg's going to extend back. Draw that left knee towards your left elbow. Drop that shin down. Scoot that left foot towards your right wrist. Wiggle that right foot back and then draw yourself down. So again, adjust accordingly. Do I need to put a towel, a blanket, something to protect my knee or my hips? And then when I'm ready, I'm gonna inhale to lengthen. Make sure I have enough space to breathe. And then exhale, walk myself down to the mat, finding a way to let go and release, creating a little pillow with my hands or using a bolster or pillow to allow myself to melt into. Tuning into the breath, tuning into the sensations. Each side's going to have a different manifest of feeling. Try to let go of tension in the face, in the jaw. Allowing the tongue to release from the top of the mouth. We've got a few more breaths here. See what you need to do to just breathe and find that presence to continue allowing the release to happen naturally. And one more breath here. Gently exhale to lift up slowly. Draw your weight onto the left side and then draw that right leg forward so you can take those gentle windshields back and forth. From here, we're going to do just a non-traditional, a little bit more hip work, that less holding, a little more kind of releasing. So what's it going to look like is your knees are about hip width apart, maybe a little further. Big toes are going to touch. We're going to walk our hands forward and then go as wide as you can with the knees. We're going to go back and then draw forward a few more times. So there's a bit of a diamond shape here in the legs happening, and then come forward. Allow the pelvic floor to release. So just letting go of any tension into the joints. Take 3 more of those. Follow your own pacing. I know it can feel vulnerable and it can feel weird to wiggle in these shapes, but the hip joints were designed to move in all different directions. Gently exhale, come back to center, wiggle those knees in. We're going to come back to finalize into a downward dog. From here, we're going to try some hip circles from standing. Again, just a different variation for the pelvic floor. So press your weight into the left side, roll over to the right, and then draw down. So you can start large and then draw down. And reverse directions. So try to keep it into the hips. And weight is going to wiggle between the left and right side of the body. And then from a still dog, try small circles. So less movement. Just the hips. And reverse. And press back one last time. Draw forward, drop the knees. And this completes this very gentle, hip-focused flow. So if you like this practice, like the video, save it, comment below what feels good, and try some of these poses on their own. Be sure to warm up when doing any deep hip openers, or at least have a day of doing this like after a long day, like you've done. Your hips have had some mobility that day. They're not just coming from bed and jumping into these hip openers. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.